Ladies and gentlemen, stop scrolling. Grab your popcorn, secure your wig. And please someone check on Nashville because the country music universe just spontaneously combusted. Yes, you heard it right. Forget Hollywood divorces. Forget rappers sneaking into court wearing hoodies like it's a season finale of Power. Forget influencers crying about breakups for clout because Keith Urban just walked into a courtroom and dropped receipts hotter than a burning cowboy hat in a rodeo fire. And when I say receipts, I don't mean she texted me at 3 a.m. saying, hey, I mean evidence. People, high-level, fib-livered, encrypted lick for S-tax receipts. Screenshots? Check. Voice recordings? Check. Secret files that looked like they came from the CIA, but with better lighting. Double check. So tell me, who knew the calm, soft smiling? Guitar stroking Keith Urban had the potential to turn into a country singing James Bond with a Vengeance playlist and a folder labeled Do Not Play With Me. And Maggie Baugh, the one sweet tear-streaming acoustic guitar-cring country princess. Oh, she didn't just lose the playlist, she lost the narrative. The password to sympathy. And maybe her next 3 album deals. Courtroom witnesses say the silence in that room wasn't peaceful, it was the, oh no, girl, you're finished silence. The kind that happens right before someone on reality TV flips a table. Because today, ladies and gentlemen, truth wasn't whispered. It was projected on a courthouse screen in 4K. Clarity, while paparazzi cameras clicked like angry crickets on Red Bull. If you're watching this, congratulations, you just tapped into the most chaotic, jaw-dropping, digital porn censor scandal the country world never saw coming. And trust me, if you thought this intro was wild, we haven't even scratched the surface of the madness. Stay right where you are because the truth bombs. Oh, honey, they're only getting bigger. The scandal did not begin inside a courtroom, where justice and truth are supposed to stand tall. It began on the internet, where emotions turn into entertainment and every tear becomes a performance review. One late night, Maggie Baugh appeared on a live stream with soft lighting and a carefully trembling voice, telling the world she had been betrayed by none other than Keith Urban, the man who had built a reputation as the gentle country icon who never raised his voice, never raised scandal, and never raised suspicion. Maggie sat with her guitar untouched beside her, as if pain had stolen the music from her fingertips, and she spoke slowly, dramatically, letting silence fill the gaps like she was allowing viewers to sigh for her. The comments exploded with support and sympathy as fans declared her a victim, a warrior, a broken heart in need of protection. Screenshots of her crying face spread across fan pages and gossip accounts like holy relics of sadness. She whispered about promises broken, about trust shattered, and about how fame can hide monsters behind perfect smiles. The internet did not wait for evidence. It crowned her the innocent and Keith the villain before sunrise. Fans made edit videos with sad piano music. And people who had never met either of them took up emotional swords to fight a digital battle built on feelings, not facts. But then came reality. Keith Urban walked into the courthouse days later, not with a soft voice and emotional tremble, but with calm eyes and a folder so thick it looked like it held every secret the music industry ever tried to bury. Reporters who expected a humble apology saw instead a man ready to protect his name like a kingdom under attack. When the first piece of evidence appeared on the courtroom screen, the whispers in the room turned into stunned silence. Messages did not match Maggie's story. Timelines twisted into lies. Photos she used as proof were traced back to stock image websites. Suddenly, the tear-filled narrative began to feel like a rehearsed performance rather than a broken confession. And then came an audio clip that chilled the air. A steady, confident voice, Maggie's voice, saying she would win not by truth, but by headlines, as if the world was a stage and sympathy her instrument. In that moment, people stopped breathing, stopped blinking, stopped believing the soft sobs that once felt so convincing. The courtroom turned colder, heavier, more real than any live stream could ever pretend to be. Viewers forgot their patience and chose sides with the speed of lightning. Because scandal tastes sweeter than truth in this digital age. And nobody stopped to ask if heartbreak was honest or simply staged for attention and control. Drama always wins here. When the internet smelled drama, it did what it always does. It sharpened its claws and prepared to feast. But the courtroom had a different hunger. A hunger for receipts, for facts, for the kind of evidence that does not melt when tears fall or crumble under public sympathy. And soon enough, every illusion Maggie had woven began to fray in the harsh fluorescent lights. The prosecution presented cloud logs, voice files, text archives, and even digital forensic reports that mapped out a timeline which did not just challenge Maggie's story. It dismantled it piece by piece, like someone tearing wallpaper to reveal mold underneath. A technician explained how the supposed hospital images Maggie shared were pulled from a Pinterest board known for inspirational medical aesthetics. And even the judge paused, eyebrows raised as if asking himself whether this was a courtroom or a badly scripted online scandal. Reporters scribbled faster, phones buzzed outside, and hashtags that once painted Maggie as a fallen angel quietly flipped tone as users began deleting supportive posts and replacing them with confused questions. But the real shock came when a private voice note surfaced, not the one already heard, but another one in which Maggie spoke casually to someone, laughing softly as she discussed how public heartbreak could make someone untouchable, how narratives crafted with emotion travel faster than truth ever could, how silence from the accused fuels sympathy like gasoline on dry leaves. The room reacted not loudly, but with the silent weight of disbelief pressing against every wall. Keith sat without reaction, a man who had already spent weeks being painted as a villain in comments, podcasts, gossip talk shows, yet now sat like someone who finally saw the storm shifting in his direction. Nicole Kidman remained motionless behind him, her expression unreadable, not triumphant, not emotional, simply composed with the chilling calm of someone who has survived this industry long enough to know that truth arrives slowly, but when it arrives like thunder. Outside, fans who once defended Maggie fiercely began arguing among themselves. Some convinced she had been manipulated, others convinced she had orchestrated everything, while a third group insisted this was all part of a bigger conspiracy involving jealous industry giants. Streaming wars or secret deal sabotage. Anonymous sources suddenly came forward, or at least accounts claiming to know insiders did, whispering about jealousy, competition, attempts to ride the fame wave by any means. And with each rumor and leak, Maggie's image shifted from fragile sweetheart to calculated opportunist, then to something even more dangerous, someone desperate enough to gamble their reputation and career on sympathy currency. News anchors spoke about the case as though it were a political scandal. Podcasters turned into detectives overnight, and fans who once cried for Maggie now replayed her live streams, trying to spot cracks in her trembling voice or manufactured pauses in her tears. While the world watched, the courtroom sat in a slow-burning silence, everyone realizing that fame may give someone a stage, but truth decides who gets to stay on it. The turning point arrived when the courtroom returned from a short recess and the next witness took the stand. A digital forensic specialist who spoke with the calm certainty of someone who had seen the internet destroy careers and knew exactly how to separate truth from performance. He explained how timestamps had been altered, how documents were fabricated at odd hours, how metadata exposed the origins of files Maggie had sworn were authentic. Each sentence was a nail ceiling, a narrative that once felt airtight and emotional, but now looked like a stitched-together tragedy built for sympathy clicks. The audience in the room shifted uncomfortably as pieces of evidence lit up the screen one by one. Lines of code, email headers, text fragments that told a story very different from the one millions had believed. The internet outside reacted in real time, gossip pages updated by the second. Fans who once defended Maggie now posting nervous half-apologies as if trying to delete their loyalty before anyone noticed they gave it. Meanwhile, Maggie sat with trembling stillness, eyes unfocused as though she finally realized that a story built on emotion cannot outlast a truth backed by data. Her attorney attempted one last push, offering a theory about hacking, about manipulated systems, about enemies in the shadows working to smear her. But the courtroom was too deep in proof to entertain fiction. Then came the moment that would echo across every timeline and talk show. The judge invited Nicole Kidman to speak, and she stood slowly, a controlled grace that silenced the room. Her voice was measured, polite, and painfully calm as she spoke about family, about dignity, about how public lies do not simply bruise reputations, they threaten children, strain marriages, and weaponize sympathy in ways that are crueler than any courtroom battle. She did not accuse Maggie with fire. She dismantled her with clarity. And every word landed like a quiet verdict before the actual verdict could form. Even those who disliked celebrity power could not deny the weight of her presence. When she returned to her seat, the air felt thinner, the walls tighter, as if the truth had already made its ruling. Cameras flashed when Keith finally stood, not to boast, not to celebrate, but to breathe again. The kind of breath someone gives after weeks of drowning under headlines and whispers. Outside, the world spun stories about possible charges, investigations into falsified evidence, managers withdrawing support, sponsors erasing deals, and record labels quietly distancing themselves from potential scandal. Comment sections shifted tone entirely, turning Maggie from victim to cautionary tale. A warning about how fame can tempt someone into turning heartbreak into a weapon. And yet, even as truth settled over the courtroom like dust after a storm, a faint crack in the calm remained. A rumor whispered through reporters that deeper secrets might surface. Perhaps Maggie did not act alone, that someone powerful may have fueled the chaos for their own gain. Keith left without speaking to cameras. Nicole walked out moments later without glancing back, and Maggie remained still, as though deciding whether to fight further or accept that the spotlight she sought had finally burned her. The world waited at the courthouse steps, hungry for the next headline, knowing that in the age of viral truth and digital justice, a scandal never ends when the gavel falls. It only pauses until the next secret surfaces, and now here we are, standing at the edge of a truth storm that shook country music, social media, and every living room where gossip travels faster than common sense. The courtroom may close its doors for the day, but the questions do not end. They only grow louder. Who pulled the first thread in this tangled web of heartbreak and headlines? Who believed the lie and who built it? And most importantly, what comes next when the lights fade? The microphones go silent, and reputations lie scattered like confetti after a parade no one asked for. That is where you come in. If you want the next layer of truth, the next leak, the next quietly whispered secret that may flip the narrative once again, then stay close. Like, comment, and subscribe. Because here on BuzzVault, we do not just watch scandals unfold, we peel them open. Your voice matters. Your curiosity decides what we uncover next. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.